All right, everybody. Time for another review of the Oval. So, we pick up where we left off last time, and Jason has, after Victoria said, "What am I going to be, your third victim?" And he was like, "Fourth." And then he admits to killing his grandmother. And, yeah. And then Victoria, she later on she tries to act all like, "Oh, he killed my mother," and I'm like, "Victoria, you don't care, so don't act like it." But anyway, he ends up spilling everything. He tells how he killed Denise. Oh, she was so awful. Um, and he's saying how Hunter peed on her and spit on her, and how she laughed. And Hunter's like, "Oh, no, no, stop, stop, stop," and no, and then Victoria's like, "No, go on, go on," but he doesn't say anything about Hunter, anything else about Hunter. He says, "And I saw how you threw yourself at Max and Sam," and then Victoria's looking like, "Oh." So she was waiting for him to spill more about Hunter, but instead he spilled about her. And so he's really going off. And then he has nerve enough to say he wants his own place. That he's going to be old enough to have his own place soon, and that's what he wants. And Victoria's like, "No, we're getting you committed." Okay, so Hunter wants to get him help. Um, I'm like, well, he's beyond help. But that's what Hunter wants to do, and Victoria is just not for it at all. So Jason ends up choking Victoria again, and she falls down, and he's like, "I'm staying." And it was just really over the top, and it was so over the top that it was almost funny, and he was like screaming, "I'm staying." Jason is a crazy mess. So over at Richard's house, Nancy is still there. And she's talking about, "Yeah, I'm going to make your father dinner." And I'm like, "Nancy, the man doesn't want you there. Why are you trying to stay?" And Barry ends up telling her about seeing Ruth, and she said, "Well, was the baby with her?" And Barry gets smart. "No, if do you think if she was that?" He got real smart, and pretty much that was it with them. Uh, so back at the White House, Hunter tells Donald and Kyle what Jason did, and Kyle was saying, "Well, how could that happen? I would have known if that happened. How could he get in there to Denise?" And apparently, Max was on duty when that happened. So that's how Jason was able to get in. I guess Max wasn't paying attention or whatever. And excuse me. And Hunter wants him to handle it, and Hunter is just so simple. He just boils everything down to, "I just wanted to get laid." And I'm like, did you really say that? Did you really say that? I mean, he's far too old to be that basic. I mean, you're just going to you explain everything, "I just wanted to get laid." Anyway, so Hunter's saying, "Well, I'm scared of my own son." And of course, Donald says he's going to take care of it. So I guess Donald's going to make sure all of this is covered up. But it's not going to stay covered for long, because Jason is probably going to kill somebody else. Okay, so back at the cabin, Lily, she's getting ready to leave. Bobby had a car for her to drive into the city and, like, drop drop the car. And so he told her, drop the car off at this place and then take your car. And, and they'll be tracking, I guess they're going to be tracking Lily's car or whatever. And so Max, after Lily leaves, Max comes out and he still has Bobby's number about Lily. He's like, that must be hard to see her leave. And Bobby's trying to play it off like, what are you talking about? And then he ends up asking Max, have you ever met the one? And Max is like, yes, several times. And I'm like, are you like some kind of tramp or something, Max? Because how do you meet the one several times? And then Max says, oh, well, I'm getting a divorce. And it's really going to happen now that my wife is going to see all this story about Yuma and I supposedly fighting over this woman. And, okay, so let's get into it. Let me just adjust the camera a little teensy bit. So let's talk about Priscilla. So Priscilla gets to work and her clearance won't work. And Alonzo tells her, you need to see Sam. So Sam arrives and he's asking her, well, you're not going to harm anyone. And he's like, well, what are you going to say to her? But she doesn't answer that. She said, no, I won't harm anyone. But she doesn't answer what she's going to say to Victoria. And he lets her go into work. Now, this was the part this was probably my favorite part because Richard is just ready to be messy and push Nancy's buttons. But I think Nancy's going to go off with this one. And somebody's going to get slapped or something. So this maid that Richard said had been flirting with him, he approaches her and he's, flirting with her and everything. And he's like, I've been attracted to you, blah, blah, blah. And she's like, well, yeah, but you wouldn't do anything about it because you're married. And he's like, well, my marriage isn't doing too good. And he's like, let's talk over dinner. And of course, this maid, she's really, really excited because, like Richard said, she had been after him for a long time. So this other maid, she goes in there and she's talking to Priscilla. And she says, well, I got to get all dolled up and all this. And Priscilla's like, who are you going out with? And she's like, nobody you know. But eventually, she gets around to saying it's Richard. And Priscilla's like, you shouldn't mess with that man. He's married. And so the other maid, I'm not sure what her name is. She's like, she starts talking about Jean, and she says she can't handle this job. She gets into an argument with her boyfriend, and she doesn't come into work. And Priscilla's like wondering what's going on, and she's like, why are you talking about Jean? You shouldn't be talking about her. And this maid is like, well, she hasn't answered her phone. And of course, Priscilla is very, very interested in knowing why that is. Why hasn't Jean answered her phone? So let's get into Alan and Ellie. So Alan, he ends up seeing a naked picture on Ellie's phone, and he didn't say naked picture, but that's the way I prefer to put it, because the picture was supposed to be of a very specific part of the male anatomy. So I think you're old enough and wise enough to know what I'm talking about. So he sends the picture to himself, I guess, so he can have like evidence. And he's like, who would send you this picture? Who would send you this picture? And so they get into it, and he ends up, saying, I didn't believe that story about you and the senator before, but now. And then he ends up calling her. He says, "You're a slut. You're a piece of ass." And she basically tells him just to tread lightly and all of that. And so Alan is he's very angry, but I think Ellie is I think she's under the impression that the president is is going to protect her, that or whatever. I think she thinks, excuse me, I think she's under the impression that it's more, you know, of an entanglement than Hunter intends it to be. I'll put it like that. So so Hunter is at the White House. He's in there in the bathroom taking his pictures, and Victoria's like, "Are you in here taking pictures?" And I'm like, Hunter is really dumb. I mean, how are you going to be a president and taking those kind of pictures? I mean, that's like, that's just stupid. So, let's let's talk about let's talk. Okay. So wait a minute. I'm checking my notes. So Victoria wants Jason out of the White House, but Hunter is saying, "Well, I've put him in another part of the White House where you won't see him at all." And Victoria is still not comfortable with it. She's like, he killed my mother. I need to make the funeral arrangements for that. And Hunter's basically like, good. And then Cuckoo Jason pops up from somewhere in the bathroom. I don't know where, but he's crazy. He's just crazy, and he's just prepared to torture them. And then once he calls Victoria mom, and she's like, "It's Victoria. You will never call me that again. I can't believe I gave birth to something like this." And I'm like, I think he comes by it naturally, because this, Victoria told Ellie, she told Ellie, "I'll have your body chopped up and mailed to your mother," and all that. So she's got a violent streak herself, is willing to kill herself. So she's messed up in her own way that's different than Jason. But anyway, so after she leaves, Hunter's telling him, "Well, we're gonna get you help and all of this," and then Jason's trying to play this off like he's so sorry. "Oh, I'm so sorry," and all that. And I'm like, "Jason, you're full of it." So Priscilla, she's going on a little investigation tour of her own, and she goes into Jason's room and she's looking around, and she's bent down and Jason comes in. "What are you doing?" And then she's like, and I'm like, I don't know how she's gonna get out of this one, because she told that other maid, "Well, I'll clean his room," or whatever. So maybe she can get out of it like that. But Jason was like, "What are you doing?" So that was the Oval. I thought it was a pretty decent episode. Like I said, my favorite part was with Richard and the maid, mainly because I want to see Nancy go off. That is what I really want to see, because I know she's gonna go off. So far, she's been trying to, keep. She's been calm and keeping this, I guess you could call it, like sort of like a modest attitude or whatever. Um, but when she finds out that Richard is going out with another woman, she's going to go off. So tell me what you think. Like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you later. Bye.